Hello friends, it's Kelly Pullum here, also known as Craft and Granny. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! In Canada, and tonight I'm going to be sharing some products from our brand new mini catalog. I'm sharing the Queen Bee bundle, and I'm also sharing the Country Gingham Designer Series paper. So that's two products that are available. I believe the start date is January 5th. So if you are a customer of mine, you should have received a catalog in the mail. And I have heard from one person, and I know they did receive theirs. So hopefully your catalogs have arrived. If you have not received a catalog and you would really like to have one, let me know if you don't have a demonstrator, and I will see that you get one. Anyway, I'm excited to share this card tonight. I had a great time yesterday playing in the craft room and getting things going after the holidays, but I admit today I kind of crashed and I just rested, so my brain's feeling a little foggy from inactivity today. Just letting you know, hi Nance, just letting you know about upcoming classes. On January 19th, I will have a Christmas card class. No, that's done for a little bit anyway. A card class here in my home. We'll be making 2 cards, and the cost is $8. That's January 19th at 1 p.m. And there's also a class available on Tuesday, January 24th, if you're unable to make the 19th, and it'll be a repeat of the same class, and same cost. But just to make sure that I have enough spaces for people. And then on January 29th, I have a crop here in my home from 1 to 5 p.m. and the cost is $10 for that. So I hope that some of you will be able to join me. That would be lovely. Okay, I am going to switch over now so that you can see the desktop and see what I'm going to make tonight. And actually, I just realized I need to dash and get my my bling, but I will do that in just a moment. So let's get us over to a different view here. There we go. All right, so this is the card that we're going to make tonight. And I just chose to use the happy sentiment from this bundle. Because I wanted this to be just kind of a card that would be for Happy Mail. So kind of a friendship card or anything like that. And I've used the Basic White Thick cardstock. And I'm going to just show you the stamp set here and the dies that go with this. So this is the Queen Bee stamp set. I think it's incredibly versatile. I have made 3 cards with it yesterday and just barely scratching the surface of ideas of things that I would like to do with it. So that gives you an idea. Anyway, you can do so many things. You can use the happy birthday, you can use it separately, you could do a beloved and do a Valentine's thing. The person who designed this stamp set as her $1 million sales reward, she was focusing on Queen for a day for a birthday type of setting. But anyway, I can just think of so many different ways of using this product. So, and the dies, there are so many and they're just wonderful. So tonight I'm using this Big Bee, and it's a stamp that I'm going to die cut. I'm using the label die, and I'm also using these flower dies, which are lovely, and they actually have texture embossed into them. And I'm using this little leaf spray here. But there are just so many. There's a honeycomb, there are extra wings you can add to the bee. This one cuts out a floral spray, like this floral spray that's in the stamp set. And then there's this little bee that's so sweet. And then there's this one that you can do with 2 layers as well. And this sprig, which I've seen used to make almost like a wreath if you use 2 of them together. So just so many neat ideas with this one. Hi Marilyn, thanks for joining us. Okay, now I'm also using tonight this Country Gingham Designer Series paper, and I want to pull it out and just share with you the patterns. I should have separated these early so it would be easier to just flip through. But anyway, so this is Sweet Sorbet, and there's this style of gingham. And then this is, I believe it's mint macaron on the back. Let me just confirm here. Balmy Blue, Mint Macaron, and Petal Pink are the colors. So this one is Mint Macaron. So they've got different colors on the back. Then we've got this one with some Balmy Blue on the back. And that is more of that one. Then we've got this pattern that has the Mint Macaron check on the back. And this pattern with the Petal Pink, and it's got Balmy Blue on the back. And this pattern in the Petal Pink with the Mint Macaron on the back. And then this one with Balmy Blue on the back. And I think that is all of them. But just beautiful patterns, mostly pastel colors, although I would say Sweet Sorbet isn't really pastel. But beautiful, beautiful colors for spring, and maybe also for Valentine's, I think. So lots of different things. I've really mucked up this thing. I managed to get it open at both ends, and now I'm making a mess of this paper here. Get that back in there. There. Okay, so tuck that out of the way. Now, oh, and I didn't even mention this little heart too that is inside. So I'm going to lift this up so you can see. There's a little heart die in this one. So I've used that for the center of my flowers. Yeah, there you can see. And if I get this tilted right, maybe you can see the texture on there. No, too close. I'll have to try and see if I can get that to pop up for you at some point here tonight. Okay, so I just want to show you. I started off with this set playing with coloring options. So obviously the bee has the beautiful flowers on it, and you can color those. So I started off with this one where I colored the flowers Sweet Sorbet, and I just used my I think it's Daffodil Delight to color the center of the flowers. So that's one with just the flowers colored. Then I did this one where I colored both the flowers and the foliage on it. So this one was stamped in Smoky Slate. This one was stamped in Memento. It is slightly darker than the other. And anyway, and I colored the foliage on there as well. And then this one, I thought this was really pretty. In this one, I just colored the foliage and I colored the center of the flowers. So I'm going to lift those up a little closer because they're not showing up very well on my camera. And I don't know how well you can see them. If I lift them up a little bit. Too far. Okay. It's hard to figure here sometimes where to go. I'm not very savvy with this camera. Down a bit. There we go. Okay. So, yeah, anyway, there's lots of options with coloring. But don't be limited by any of that, because you can literally stamp the bee in any color that you've got. And tonight I'm using the Sweet Sorbet. So, I'll pull in my pieces here. I'm starting with basic white thick cardstock for my card base. I've pre-cut some little pieces here. including my 3 little hearts that I don't want to lose. And I have some Designer Series paper cut. So I cut 1 inch of the 3 different sweet sorbet patterns. And then this piece is 2.5 by 6 inches. I'm going to use this to decorate my envelope. So I'm going to set this aside first, and I'm going to start off. I'm going to stamp my happy on here. I realized I forgot to bring ink blocks over. Yeah, don't be limited. That's right, Nancy. Good play on words. Excuse me while I grab my ink blocks. There's always something I forget. Okay. I've got Ziva right here at my feet looking at me like, who are you talking to, Mom? What are you doing? Okay, yeah, so here's my ink block. So I need first my happy. I'm just going to use this big one and hope I don't regret it. Okay, now I did find, one thing I did find, this was a little bit tricky, trying to get it to line up straight, and part of that is my own fault because I did not get the sticker on straight, which makes it harder. So I'm going to just test here on the grid paper. And it isn't stamping perfectly straight. So I had this lined up with the bottom of my stamped piece here, and that didn't work. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to clean that off, and I'm going to try stamping it lined up with the top here just to make sure. Okay, so we're going to try this again. And sometimes when you have a stamp, it can be hard to figure out exactly how to make it straight. So that's a little bit better. Having lined it up with the top, now I couldn't see very well for the camera, but that is much better. So I'm going to use the top line here. I'm going to line this up with my grid paper, and then I'm going to try and line the top of my stamp with the embossed stitching here. Give that a second, and there we go. Not perfect, but I'll be okay with it. All right. Now I need my bee. My queen bee here. There we go. And I'm debating about trying this one stamped off. So I'm going to ink this up here. And I'm going to try stamping it and then stamping it again. Hard to say. I love the bright, like the clarity when it's stamped full strength, but I did wonder if the lighter color would work with this, but I think I'm going to just go with full strength. I don't know. I'm not feeling brave about that tonight. So I need my paper here. And here we go. Just getting this inked up, and I just find it fits nicely into a corner here, so I'm going to use that. Give it a good press. When I say pressing it, I'm pressing it firmly, but I'm not really trying to squash it. You know what I mean? There we are. Now, because I'm using my mini tonight, I'm just going to cut across here so it'll fit in there more easily. Pull this in. Now, if you've seen me use the mini before, I want to make sure that I mention to you, so my first plate is further forward than my middle plate. I just find when I make this sandwich, if I put the first and the third plates in further and the middle plate a little behind, it works better. But you do have to put the die on there. Okay, so again, this lines up really well. A few tips for lining this up. If you get it just right, you can see the feet, like you can see the sweet sorbet ink through those little holes there. And this antenna up here, that should line up just perfectly. Okay. So that's looking pretty good to me. As long as I don't shift it, I'm all set. And then we'll get that over top, feed it through, and it just cranks easy as pie. Okay, pie's not easy, but without too much struggle. There we are. At least pie's not easy for me. Maybe if you're a baker, it is for you. I like to make cookies and things, but pastry's beyond my skill set. There we go. My beautiful bee. So now I'm going to pull in my other pieces, and sure enough, I'm losing my little hearts here. There's one and there's two here. Okay, so this is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. Yeah, the bee really, Yvonne, it's funny, I looked at it in the catalog and I did not fall in love with it right away, but I saw a lady demonstrate card making using this bundle of products, and she totally sold me on it. And so it's thanks to her that I decided this was one I just really had to have. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take my strips of paper here, and I'm going to cut them at different lengths. So I'm going to take 1 inch off of one, 1 1/4 off of the middle, sorry, 1 1/2 inches off the middle one, and 1 1/4 inches off of the other one. I guess I got them the other way. How did I do it? Yeah, 1 inch off the first one, 1 1/2 inches off of this one, and 1 1/4 inches off of this one. So I'll pull in my trimmer here. This one is first, so it's just getting 1 inch taken off the bottom. Oops, wrong one. There we go. Then I'm taking 1 1/2 inches off of this piece. And 1 1/4 inches off of this piece. So this is a way that you can, like you could use these measurements with coordinating paper strips to do all kinds of different cards, right? Here we go. Now, I'm going to just take my snips. I don't need these bottom pieces, so I can just slide them aside. I'm going to take my snips and I'm going to do, I'm going to flag the end. So what I did here, I'm just cutting in to the center a little bit, about 1 centimeter. Can I say centimeters? I'm mixing up my inches and centimeters. But anyway, it's about 1 centimeter in. And then I'm cutting from the outside corner up to my first cut. and then from the other corner up to my first cut, and that makes my flagged end. One more to do here. There we go. All right, now I'm going to take these and just kind of put them a little higgledy-piggledy on here. How did I do this? I did this one on an angle this way a little bit, and the other two coming out a little bit. And I just arranged them until I said, yeah, I think that looks okay. Oops, bumping it all over the place here. And I did want this middle one to overlap that piece a bit. There we go. Okay, once I've got that figured out, I can bring in my adhesive, and I'm just going to put them down one at a time, holding the others in place while I kind of tuck and place on top. And there's the first one. This is just kind of an easy background that you could use for all different kinds of cards. And because it's not lined up straight or whatever, it's fairly easy to do. And so that's kind of fun. Now I'm going to take my, excuse my reach here, I'm going to take my sentiment piece, that's going in here. These two guys are going to go underneath, and I'm going to just make sure they don't come off the side here. So I'm going to tuck them under there, and then I'm going to put my bee is coming along this side here, and then I'm going to do my flowers. So I think I'm going to start by just, again, keeping that in place. I'm lifting this off. I'm going to pull in my glue dots. And just place that right on top there to hold it down. There. Okay, so those are in place. Now I can pull in my happy, and I'm just going to use some adhesive. Excuse me, I just about dropped it on there. That's just going over top. Kind of trying to make sure that lines up there. Then my bee, I'm going to put some adhesive in the center here. And then I'm going to put dimensionals under the wings. So just to give it a bit of shape there, I'm using mini dimensionals under those wings. And I love the way that looks. So now I'm going to add a heart here to my there's one. Get rid of some of this. There we go. Now I found these hearts worked pretty well on a glue dot. I just set that on. When I pick it up, there's a little extra at the top. So I just folded that down under. and that worked well. And then I put that, I can put one on my bee. Beautiful. Nancy, you are too much tonight. Oh boy. Okay, here we go. Another one. Tuck any extra adhesive underneath there. One is going on top of this flower. And last one. On top of this flower. There. There we are. And then I'm going to add here this flower is going on this side up here with a dimensional. So up there, down a little bit more, I think. There. Okay, and then this little guy is going on the other side here. I didn't pop it on my original card, but I'm feeling as though it needs to be. Maybe not. Maybe not. There we go. All right. So, last thing is the bling. Now I'm using these festive pearls because I have lots of them and there's the sweet sorbet color in them. So I'm just going to put 3 little dots across the bottom here. 1, 2, and 3. There we go. Now, I haven't put anything on the inside of this card, and I'm kind of thinking that it should have something, so I'm thinking maybe the flowers could go on the inside. I could use the little bee, or I could even use this bee, but I think I'm feeling the flowers. The only thing is it's going to be all sweet sorbet, but I think what I'm going to do is just stamp off on the inside here so that it is going to be a little lighter with the flowers. We'll see how we feel about it. There we go. So I'm going to stamp once, and then I'm going to stamp again. And I'm kind of going off the edge intentionally. There we go. So yeah, I like that. Just a little something on the side. And the last thing I have for tonight's card, and I know I've shown you this idea before, but I like to do this sometimes to make my envelope pretty. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this extra piece of Designer Series paper to make the flap for the envelope. So I prefer to use liquid glue when I do this, and I don't put the glue on the DSP, I put it directly on the envelope. Okay, so I'm just trying to get a thin little bit here. I don't want it gooping up all over. There we go. Then I can take this and I can line it up. Now, I do find it's easier to kind of stand it up and make sure that it's not going past here, because when you fold it down, you don't want it sticking out past here. So if you kind of stand it up while your glue's still wet, you've got a little time to wiggle it in place there. Then, I didn't even have to trace this. When I started this, I used to trace and cut. You don't need to. Just glue that sucker on there, and then you can cut it right off. Just using, like, turn your envelope over, cut from the back, and it's easy peasy. Believe me, this is much more accurate than if you tried to trace and cut and then glue. And there we go. So now we have a lovely backing for the card, and there we are. That is our card for tonight. On the original one, I had a different pattern of the designer series paper, but same kind of thing with the card and the envelope. So I hope that you liked the card tonight. I hope you'll come back next week. I'm going to do something neat with using scoring. So next week's card's going to have something neat using scoring. A little bit of a tip for you there using the trimmer. So I hope that you'll see me next week. And in the meantime, enjoy your week. Have a great time crafting, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye now.